Hello.
Whatever.
Welcome, my friends, to Whatever Wednesday. I'm Wes, the host of Whatever Wednesday. And today is kind of the IDAGF version of Whatever Wednesday. So we're going to have some good conversations here, I think, tonight. I don't know how talkative I am. I don't know how much of... Apparently I was muted for much of my gaming stream, for those of you that were on that. Which is, I was pretty quiet and I wasn't talking a lot, but I was talking, and apparently the talking didn't end up in the stream, so whatever. But it was fun. We double dragoned and we Mega Manned, and good time was had by all, I think. I think I actually was doing some pretty good playing there. I think I died minimally when I was playing. Got to the last level of Double Dragon and beat Mega Man 3. So, yeah. That was nice. Hail, Parrothead. Welcome, my friend. I am the Lord of the Land and the Waterfowl. Hail, RR. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Hail, Papa Cotton, the 99th. Good to see you, my friend. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week, I suppose. A lot of stuff happening. So, sent a link to just another red shirt. Hopefully he'll pop in here pretty soon. And also to LDG. But, the fraud lawsuit in New York, there's been kind of a lot happening with that. And I've talked about it before, having been in real estate. I've got some opinions on it, and so I'll give you the gist of it. So there was a judgment. First of all, he was prosecuted for it, and generally, there has to be like an allegation of fraud, and this is like a fishing expedition. This is ridiculousness. And anybody that owns a house, and I think a lot of Americans own houses, still a majority of Americans own houses. And if you've ever gone to buy a house or refinance a house, now residential real estate's a little different from commercial real estate. Residential real estate, so there's 3 appraisal approaches. That is the determination of the value of the subject. And so like in residential, most of the time it's the sales approach, right? You have a 1,300 square foot house by, JMC Homes or whatever. JMC, I don't think makes anything that small. And then you have another 1,300 square foot home from JMC Homes that sold within the last 60 days. Like, that range is going to be how much your 1,300 square foot home from JMC Homes is going to sell for in the same neighborhood. That's called the sales approach. And then you have what's called the cost approach, which, if I need to rebuild this house, this is how much it would cost to rebuild the house, or this is how much it would cost to build this house. And in commercial real estate, you have what's called the income approach. This property generates this much income over this amount of time, has generated this much income, and therefore the value of this asset is determinative of how much income it's expected to generate based on how much it has generated. In a nutshell, I'm simplifying it, but that's the basic gist of it. And so what they're saying is, oh, here's our good friend, just another red shirt. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, Wes. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely, my friend. I figured you had something to say on the topic, so
Oh, I do.
yeah. So I was just going over kind of the nuts and bolts of the 3 different appraisal types: cost, income, and sales approach.
Yes.
And oh, go ahead.
When it comes to what they're talking about is the value of a piece of collateral in Trump's case. And
Yes.
you're correct in all of the things you described. I've been listening for about a minute and a half before coming in. But But what really matters here is if you want a bank to loan you money, you have two ways of doing it. You can have an unsecured loan. That's like a credit card. That's why the interest rates are so ridiculous there. Or you can have a secured loan. Now, if you're borrowing money to buy a used car, then the value of that car is arguable, right? I mean, who's going to determine how much that 4-year-old car is actually worth?
Mm-hmm.
Banks don't take your word for it, and they don't take the seller's word for it. And if you want to get a mortgage on your house, let's say you have a crisis, you need to get a second mortgage or you need to get a new mortgage on your house. You can tell the bank your house is worth anything you want to tell them. They are going to make their own assessment of the value of your property as collateral for the loan, and they're not going to loan you any more than what they value your collateral as, at the value they think your collateral has. They think your collateral is worth $100,000. They'll loan you up to probably 80, because they don't normally loan to the full amount of collateral. They expect the value to fluctuate a certain amount. So you're going to get it less than what they value your property at. And it doesn't matter what that property is. It could be a piece of jewelry. It could be a house. It could be a commercial building. It could be anything. The idea that Trump's statement of the value of Mar-a-Lago had any effect whatsoever, and this is the tweet that you and I were going back and forth on today, the idea that Trump's valuation of Mar-a-Lago had anything to do with the cost of the loan, the interest on the loan, is ludicrous, because interest on loans is very simple. You get loaned X amount at Y% annual percent interest rate, and the bank charges you interest on the balance of the loan, not on what you said or someone else said your property is worth. The loan is based solely on how much you owe the bank and what the APR is, the interest rate. So what's being bandied about is that Trump changed the amount of money he had to pay the bank by the valuation of Mar-a-Lago, and that's ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. The bank, banks do not take the owner's word for it. Banks do due diligence.
Exactly. Yes.
And he's been paying back the loans too.
And the interest isn't calculated on the value of the collateral asset. It's calculated on the principal of the loan. So if I have $1 million house and I borrow $10,000 against it to buy a car, I don't pay interest on $1 million. I pay interest on $10,000. And that's the whole point of this complete fraud. And it's not Trump's fraud, it's the court's fraud. It's New York State's fraud. Is that they're claiming that while the bank testified in court that they were not harmed and they were paid back with interest, they're perfectly satisfied with the repayment of the loan. They would do business with him again. But they've made up this completely fictitious idea that whatever the person says their asset is worth has any bearing on the loan they eventually get and the amount of money they eventually have to pay. And that's ridiculous. It doesn't even pass the laugh test. Judge Engoron must have had his sense of humor surgically removed years ago. He looks like it, because I don't know how he managed not to burst into hysterical laughter multiple times on the bench hearing this absurd case. So it doesn't make any sense from a business sense, from a banking sense. It certainly doesn't make any sense from a legal sense. It only makes sense from a political sense. That's it.
Well, it doesn't even make sense there.
Well, if they get away with it, it does. But I don't know that I don't know that politically it's going to work for them.
So, Mr. God dang it. God, I'm so terrible with names. What's his name? Kevin, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
Oh yes,
Thankfully,
yes,
gave an opinion on the subject, and he's like, "Hey, I don't care about Trump or any of this other stuff. If I'm in New York, now I know if I run afoul of certain folks, I'm gonna get the same treatment. So why would I
yep,
be in New York?"
yep. And there's a major uh, commercial property underwriter. Um, it's a name I don't recognize, and it's a company nobody's probably heard of. But apparently, they have over $1 billion of commercial real estate in New York that they've underwritten for insurance. And he has sent out, and there was a tweet about this. It was tweeted publicly. He sent a memo to everyone in his company saying, as of right now, you will not underwrite any new real estate properties in New York. The risks outweigh the potential benefits. So
They
a,
do.
a, a major commercial insurance company that normally insures large commercial enterprises, hotels, you know, office buildings, things like that in New York has just called an absolute halt. You also have the beginnings of, or at least an increasing uh, trucker boycott of New York. Whether that's going to work or not work, I don't know. But it has the potential to really screw over New York City. The problem is that the people that are going to get screwed over aren't the people who are causing all of these problems and doing all of these things. It's going to be ordinary New Yorkers. So while yes, something I appreciate the sentiment that somebody needs to do something. Um, the idea that you stop delivering to New York City whatever your trucking company is supposed to send there, um, I don't think it's going to actually impact the people who made these decisions. Because I don't think they care about the rank and file and the normal people who live in New York. I don't think they care about them at all.
No,
So it's
clearly
time,
not.
until it's time to be reelected. That's about the only time they care. So I think the situation is absurd, as I said, from every point of view except politically. And politically, I'm not sure it works or it will work because too many people have woken up to the fact that this whole thing is a witch hunt. And yes, you and I have seen on Twitter, you and I were talking about one tweet that I quote tweeted. Um, there are those who are the true believers. They will never change. Um,
No.
but I think what's happening is the normies are starting to wake up. The people who don't follow Twitter, they don't follow politics. They may get their news from one of the networks. Uh, there's something that's starting to make less sense to them, I suspect, because the news has gotten very weird, despite the media's efforts to keep it from appearing that way.
Well, I mean, even if you saw that Kevin O'Leary clip, and maybe we should play it, but when he's talking to, I think it's the CNN one with the black woman, and she's like, trying to interrupt him and interject, and it's just like, if she is a lawyer, I mean, surely she should know how baseless it is. I mean, again, anybody that's refinanced or bought a house would know how baseless it is. They have at least a rudimentary understanding of the process.
Right.
You know, you get a value. It's an opinion, and an appraisal is it's an opinion of value. That's what an appraisal is. So right
Exactly.
there, I mean, totally ridiculous.
No, it is. I mean, you can I mean, there's a saying that if you ask four lawyers a legal question, you'll get five opinions, and if you take four appraisers to your house, you'll get five values. I mean, it is an opinion, and that's what some people don't seem to realize is that an appraisal, having sold a house 5 years ago and bought a house here in Texas, um, the way that real estate agents, and I don't know whether commercial real estate agents do the same thing, but certainly for individual houses, the way an agent, if you ask them to list your house, will choose a price to set would be to look around the area around your house within, say, 10 or 15 miles, ideally. Even more ideally, in your own town. And they
Yeah.
will look for houses on properties and with the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and age of the house and so on that are comparable to yours. And they're called comps.
Yep.
And what an agent will give you after you first contact them and say, I want you to sell my house. They'll say, well, let me go do some research and I'll get back to you. And usually within a day, you get a call back and they say, okay, I've looked up the comps. And the houses in your area that look like yours, that have the same kind of, similar property size, house size, garage or not, and so on and so forth, put your house in and I'm just going to pick numbers. I'm just going to say $450,000 to $550,000 range for a house. Now, your house may not sell for anywhere in that range. The market will determine what it sells for. When a bank is trying to say, I'm getting your house as collateral, they're trying to guesstimate what, if they got stuck with your house because you didn't pay the loan back, what they could sell it for. And they know they're not going to be able to sell it for the market value because they can't afford to sit on it long enough to get the perfect buyer to come in and pay full price. And banks are in the business of banking. They're not in the business of real estate. So they hate owning houses.
Yeah.
So, or business property. So the bank is going to basically assess the value of the property for what they think they could sell it in hours, essentially at auction. And that's a different valuation from tax assessment, and it's a different valuation from a real estate agent's assessment if you wanted to sell the property and wait for the perfect buyer. So all of these, as you said, are opinions with different criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got to. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, for tax purposes, I believe they usually go with like the cost approach on residential. And what you're talking about, the comps, that's the sales approach.
Right. And for collateral, it's fire sale approach.
Yep.
I mean, they have to get rid of it. They can't sit on a house. They're not, banks they don't have teams of house flippers who go into your house, refurbish it, and sell it at a markup, because banks don't want to be in that business. They're in the business of banking, not in the business of real estate. And this whole thing is absurd because the bank has their criteria for valuing an asset as collateral in order to grant a loan. And the idea that the government can come in and say, no, both of your valuations are wrong, it should be this. And now we're going to charge one of you with fraud for disagreeing with us, is the reason that I think a lot of businesses are looking to relocate out of New York right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't want to do business there. I mean, I'm in California, and already, they're see, this is the thing. We're on the conspiracy channel here. So we, before, on the last gubernatorial election, the one that Newsom was elected in 2018, he was running against this businessman named John Cox. And John Cox got the Trump treatment. John Cox got totally railroaded. And it didn't get national press the way Trump did, but that's exactly what happened to him. And let me see if I can bring up an article here. But while I'm doing that, let's play this video with Kevin O'Leary, because I think that that's important to see, to give some context here. Let's see. Here we go.
Who would not want to do business or loan money to people like yourself or investors if they know that they can get away with fraud and there's no recourse to protect them?
Excuse me, what fraud? this is not about Trump anymore. When
I
you
know.
get a developer that builds a building, and he says it's worth $400 million, and he wants to borrow $200 million from a bank, which happens every day, everywhere on Earth, including every American city. Every developer is an entrepreneur. They shine the light on their building and they say it's worth 400. The bank does its own due diligence, as was done in this case, because they're very good at it. The banks are very good, and they say, no, it's worth 300. We're only going to loan you 150 million. That haggling has gone on for decades. That's how it works.
I'm not sure about the weird music. I wish you could find clips that are just the raw clips, you know?
I'm supporting American entrepreneurship, and New York is slowly becoming the #1 loser state in America. I'm sorry, that's what's happening.
Well, Donald Trump has been ordered to pay $566 million in penalties for fraudulently claiming to be worth more than he is. The former US president has also been banned from owning a business in New York. Joining me now to discuss this is Dean of Global Futures at Curtin University, Joe Siracusa. Joe, just in the past few hours alone, Donald Trump, he's been ordered to pay this excessive amount, and he's also been banned from business. What's going on here?
Well, it
Those are cool
says
glasses.
everybody in America loves courtroom drama, and we all sort of, well, we knew he was guilty. I mean, this particular trial or occasion was to decide how much. And so the judge threw the book at him. And, Trump's just being accused of cooking the books for the company. He's been excluded from running a company for 3 years at any company. They went after the kids and everybody else, which is not a very good look for a lot of people. And, it's quite obvious to me that in many ways this court has been weaponized to go after Trump. I mean, it's not, if you're going to put a businessman away for cooking the books, then there'd be a lot of businessmen from Sydney to New York who would be in jail.
So, yeah, I mean,
There's
go into the gist of it
something.
there.
There's something he said. He said he assumed that Trump was guilty. And here's my problem. I know of a case personally, and I'm not going to say any names. I'm not going to name a company. I know of a CEO who was in negotiating the sale of his company to another company. And unbeknownst to the CEO, the CFO and the accountants were valuing the company by including accounts receivable that had not yet been paid in the company's current net worth. Now, that's illegal because an accounts receivable, meaning a debt that the company is owed, a payment the company is owed by a customer, is not recognizable revenue, never mind an asset. I mean, it's not a full asset because you may never get paid. That company may go out of business, they may refuse to pay, you may have to report to get them to pay. You can't take pending payments and add them to the value of your company at the moment.
You're breaking up just a little bit there.
What's that?
I said you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, you can't put pending payments into your current assets and state them as part of the value of your company. Now, that did result not just in a civil suit, that resulted in jail time, federal prison. Now, what they're trying to argue is that this is somehow a civil equivalent of that, and that is such a ridiculous stretch. The idea that all businessmen cheat, which is what the gentleman on Sky News on the Australian news channel said. I mean, it is absurd. The idea that, well, everybody does it, so it's okay for Trump, so then the court's been weaponized. It's not actually that. That's a misleading statement from him. What Trump did was he gave a valuation, and the court decided on a different valuation, and the court said, well, because our valuation isn't the same as yours, you must be guilty of fraud. And how did the court determine that? They're not explaining that. So, you know, the idea that overvaluing, I mean, as I said, I know I explained a case where overvaluing your company can result in penalties or even prison. But that's in the case of a sale, not in the case of I'd like to use it as collateral to borrow money. And there is no victim in this case. The state of New York appears to be claiming that they're the victim. Now, how they were victimized, how they were damaged isn't clear as a legal matter. And I'm not a lawyer, and I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I can't speak to the legal ramifications with any authority. But the case just appears to be that we made up an idea that overvaluing your property automatically means you're guilty of fraud. And that's a very novel legal theory as far as I've been able to determine. Back to you.
Hail LDG, welcome, my friend.
Where'd I go? How'd I get here? Hey, what's up, Wes?
I think
Hey,
I went
Red
wrong.
Shirt.
I think I went live on the wrong channel. Whoops. Oh well.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I'm looking for you and I saw your link and I'm like, shit, Wednesday, and I'm like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where is it? Couldn't find you. And then finally, you popped up on Conspiracy channel.
Eh, it happens.
Did you click the wrong button?
I did. I set up the wrong stream. I was on the road, so I was doing it on my phone.
Ah,
Stupid.
well, you're on StreamYard, right? So can't you just add it?
I'm
Just
do
go
not
up to
believe I'm
edit and
paying that for that version. Yeah, I'm not paying for that version. Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
you have to have the paid version to do that. Oh shit.
Yep.
No worries. How you doing, guys?
Oh,
Same shit, different hot dog.
God, man, life is really sucking right now, but that's okay. Wow, man, you really have trimmed down. Holy crap.
There you go. A little bit.
Very
Getting
noticeable.
there. Just a matter of fact, I went shopping today. Got some new clothes. Can't wait to try it out. Having fun. Still enjoying the fruits of my last victory over YouTube. Didn't drop thousands of subscribers. Still at 21,000 and holding.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Hoping to have another video out this weekend. Things going on. Things are good. Things are good right now over here. So I know people have been having some hard times. I know you personally have been having a couple issues there, but you know, it's not about getting knocked down. It's about getting back up again and saying, give me some more, unfortunately.
Yep. Well, I've got way too much fight to give up, although, you know, I mean, give up on life anyway, but yeah, man. Yeah, I'm getting sued by one of my clients, and she's the one that breached the contract, so that's kind of weird. I'm not sure what that's all about. I think she's hoping to settle, that I would want to settle or something, but I would have to have money to do that, so whatever. On the other hand, if she gets a judgment, that would be bad.
Yeah. You got countersuing?
I would like to. Kind of hard to do that with no money. Can't even defend it without any money.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. Sucks quite a bit. It really does.
Couldn't you countersue on contingency?
Well, it'd probably end up in a small claims, so that's kind of that weird thing. I'd need somebody to at least file the paperwork for me. So what I would be going after would be my commission that I didn't get because she breached the contract. I theoretically could go after the other agent for inducing her to tortuous interference. Because this gentleman, why she breached the contract, this gentleman offered her $5,000 while we're in contract, mind you, to cancel with me and go with him. The deal that I negotiated for her, where she would have walked with $5,000 in repairs, she would have ended up with $150,000 in instant equity. So that's pretty fucked up, I think. But welcome to real estate.
Yep.
Freaking shame. Freaking shame.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I'm kind of used to getting boned at this point.
It's messed up how the system is.
Really is. Yeah. See, she works for a law enforcement agency, and apparently they give those guys free legal help, so she can just file frivolous lawsuits all day long.
Well, hopefully the judge sees what's going on.
The judge actually is the judge that presided over her unlawful detainer, where she was kicked out of the place. So I think he does know what's going on.
Good.
Yeah.
That's some good news.
Yeah, that is some good news. Yeah, he's a fair judge. I actually had to testify against her in that. She was initially claiming that she didn't understand English, and then she insisted on speaking English in the court, and then I testified that she spoke English, and then I testified that we had a bilingual notary there, which we did. So it's like, come on, you dumb bitch. You know what you're doing. Sorry,
Amazing
folks.
how
I don't mean to bum anybody
people-
out here.
Rotten people out there.
I would say so. Yeah. I'm probably being tested for something right now. I don't know what.
Certainly sounds like it.
Yeah, trials of Job type stuff. Yeah. She screwed herself, and now she's going to try and make you pay for her lack of prudent behavior. Indeed. Well, what goes around comes around to those types. I've observed. I've seen a lot of these people show up, and usually because of their dirty dealing, they come across somebody that's even worse of a dirty dealer than they are, and I mean, that's just the way it is when you have people like that.
Yep. They don't learn either.
No, I don't. All right, well, what else is going on, guys? Give me a topic.
I don't know what is going on. I've been head deep in work and whatnot. I haven't even been paying attention to the latest stories.
I haven't been either. I think a lot of it is really, not good for my mindset. I feel like I don't want to waste any more bandwidth on any bad news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think people are waking up. I think people are understanding what's happening. It's getting to the point where it's undeniable now. Even people in the blue cities are like, "Fuck this shit," and we will see how things turn out this November. Anything could happen. I'm surprised that we haven't had something big happen yet.
Yeah.
But
You're talking about with Russia?
Anything that or another scamdemic or another a real pandemic or the big switch with our current executive office holder, this guy right here.
Come on, man.
What we need is for Kamala to go to Russia and blow Putin. If she would blow Putin, it would solve everything.
Yep.
Apparently she's that good. Well, since we have you here, Red Shirt, let's talk a little bit of Star Trek. And I know that if Papa, was enjoying the conversation about collateralizing assets, I'm sure he'll love the Trek discussion just as much. I know he's a fan.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he just dipped. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't wait to see where his comments go in the chat. It has been a while, I have to admit, since I watched the original Star Trek series. We just watched Wrath of Khan not that long ago, and I wanted to show Mrs. Redshirt the original episode that it was, basically it's a sequel to, so she could see that. Because I've never watched those back to back, just to have them juxtaposed with Khan, and that would kind of be cool. But yeah, I love the movies. I like a lot of the movies. I don't like all of them, but the original series, yeah, seasons 1 and 2 are really good. And I just don't, I can't name episodes and call them out anymore. It's been so long.
Yeah, me neither. What I really loved about Nicholas Meyer's involvement in Star Trek was that he came into it saying, I'm not a fan. But what he did was something that people today have not done, the showrunners of Star Trek have not done, is that he's like, I'm going to watch every episode and I'm going to learn about this and familiarize myself with the material. And he connected with it on, Hornblower in Space. So he connected with the material in that way. He's like, I get it. This is what it is. And having seen all of the episodes, he's like, well, it's a troika. It's Kirk. It's Spock. It's McCoy. And
Absolutely.
This is the way, they're the core.
They're the core of the ensemble. And that's one of the things that they never really managed to replicate, to me, in the subsequent series. And that's why I like the original series based, the original cast movies, because it's particularly from Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan on, they generally understood that. They kept that. And even in the movies that are, the odd numbered movies, everybody says the odd numbered movies aren't as good as the even numbered movies. Even in the odd numbered movies, they still have that understanding. So you still have that triumvirate, as you put it, holding the story together. And that's one of the things that keeps me going back to the original series over any of the others. Although there are some great episodes from later series. No, don't get me wrong. I've forgotten. Oh, it's the cross that you bear, sir.
Yep. You're going to learn about it whether you want to or not. Yeah, I have to agree. Star Trek 3, I think Star Trek 3 more suffered from kind of the cheap production value than it did from really the story. I didn't think the story was that terrible. I thought it was kind of a cool idea. If they would have had more extras and, they had filmed on location like they had initially wanted to, it probably would have held up a little bit better. But, Krug was a great bad guy, I thought.
Yes, it was.
I still, every once in a while, will quote that line. Then I hope pain is something you enjoy.
Yeah. The writing, that's one of the things that made Star Trek, especially the original series, the first 2 seasons, work so well, was they had some really good science fiction writers writing the screenplays. They had Harlan Ellison write a screenplay for the original Star Trek. They had a number of writers that D.C. Fontana, who famously went by her initials because she didn't want anyone to know she was female, so it would have limited her writing opportunities in Hollywood. I believe her first name's actually Dorothy, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, it's Dorothy.
She wrote some great scripts, and they one of the things that later Trek, especially modern Trek, doesn't have are people who, one, are good writers, two, understand writing science fiction, and three, know anything about the source material, the background of Trek, the history of it. And with none of those three, you've got, at best, you're going to hire somebody who writes for, daytime soap operas or something. And you're not going to get a good Star Trek script out of people like that. You need people who understand writing science fiction, understand the characters, understand the background, the Federation, all of the things that went into it. The whole prime directive, excuse me. It was violated a lot of times. Oh,
Cute cat video.
cute cat video.
Cat video. Watch out.
Who's
What are you
that
doing?
there?
Who's that? Who's that? What's that?
Meow.
Huh? What's that? He's he's not too rambunctious. What's that? No?
No, you gotta give him a treat.
Yeah, right.
He's camera shy.
Wee bit.
Looks very clean.
Anywho, I'm sorry. He is. Try to keep him clean. Had to give him some flea medication recently. Went out and picked up a couple hitchhikers. He's all good now, though.
Yeah, I used to have a cat when I lived in the country that was a terrible mouser, and she was a terrible mouser because that wasn't sporting enough for her. She would go after like squirrels. Big squirrels,
Oh, yeah.
too.
Oh, he'll go after squirrels.
We have a mouser here that is death, absolute death to rodents. I don't know if he's ever gotten a squirrel, but he's tackled 2 cottontail rabbits
Whoa.
that were about half his size. And the previous owner that rescued him sent us a picture of actually her and another of the farm cats that had just killed a 6-foot-long rattlesnake, and between them they killed a 6-foot rattler. So she was like, "Oh no, she'll be fine anywhere on your property. She's good." And I'm like, "That's what we need." So we have no mice or rats or anything like that in our garages or around the house, which is great.
Nice. Yeah, when I was a kid, we had a Manx cat, and that cat, Manx cats are known for being good mousers, and this cat was just an excellent mouser. I mean, but it was really weird. He'd also catch a lot of birds, and so he had this mat that he always stayed on that was in front of the door, and anytime he would catch a bird, it was the weirdest thing. He would tear the wings off and not eat the body. And then he would like display the head at the top of the mat and then the wings on each side of the mat, almost like in this weird ritualistic killing fashion. It was very strange, but also cool. He's like, "This is a gift for you."
I saved you the head and the wings.
Yep. Yeah, he's a pretty slick cat. He also is like very dog-like. Good night, Keck. Which apparently is a trait of Manx cats as well. We taught him to sit and stay and roll over and stuff, and Mickey the cat. Yep. Yeah. And that's another thing that he did that was kind of weird is anytime he wanted insight or wanted company or something, we had this floodlight that was motion detected. And so by my bedroom window, he'd trigger the motion light and start meowing outside of the window. Knucklehead. Yeah, he's one of a kind. Bob says, not uncommon for outdoor cats to do. Yeah, he was kind of indoor and outdoor. We only let him in when it was cold out. I'm allergic to cats, so.
We don't let our outdoor cat in the house. She has no manners whatsoever. She's a disaster looking for a place to happen if she gets in the house.
Yeah, toilet paper rolls and such, right?
Oh, up on the counter and knocking things off to the floor and breaking them, and stealing food.
Yep.
Can't have her in the house.
Yeah, our country cat was like that when I lived out in the country. I heard this like noise, this licking noise or something. I didn't know quite what it was. I was waking up to go to the restroom, and somebody had left like, the top off the butter thing.
Uh-huh.
And I always like to leave butter out because I like it soft. And she was just going to town on that thing, man.
Well, wouldn't you?
I would. I totally would.
If you were allowed to?
I completely respected it. I didn't like whoever in the house left the top off the butter, but if I were a cat, I'd totally go for it. She didn't like milk though.
I was looking at Twitter. I haven't seen anything that I've seen recently that would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I'm probably just slightly bummed out over life right now. It's one of that's part of why I was so quiet on last night's gaming stream. I'm just like, don't want to think or talk at the moment. It's like I'm not even in a place where I can rant about it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm totally boned. That sucks. Oh well, press on.
Well, we'll see. Maybe something works out for you, man.
Well, I sure hope so. I did well in the interviews. The only problem is, this stupid lawsuit is showing up on the background check, and then, of course, apparently having a felon relative, a close relative, is a bad thing, and that showed up on the background check, and I had to disclose that, and the combination of those two things, is a liability, unfortunately.
You better ain't like good things that can it's always the bad things. It's never like you have good things that can counteract that.
Unfortunately not in positions like those. They're pretty decently paying too. Papa Cotton, the 99th says, Ben Shapiro had a screenplay written for him that is incredibly similar to the Gaza attack. He's a superhero in it. Interesting. I did not know that. Any thoughts on Ben Shapiro?
What's going on with
Not
him?
really. I don't pay attention to him.
Yeah, I haven't watched him for a while. I mean, he seems like a bit of an opportunist and a little bit, a little bit too much into the money.
Yep.
And that kind of turns me off a bit. I like a little bit more authenticity. I don't know. Crowder, people give Crowder a lot of shit, but,
Don't get me started with that fuck.
Well, I know you've got problems with him.
Don't get started me with that fuck. Oh,
All right.
He's no different than Shapiro. I mean, what have they done? Have they done anything besides talking?
That is true. Okay, I forgot about. I for a brief moment forgot about that situation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see why you'd be upset at him.
Just disappointed. I mean,
Yeah. Hypocrisy is very
people are
disappointing.
virtue signaling. It's hard to separate the people who are virtue signaling or doing it for the money and the people who actually want to do some kind of change. So, where would Where would Crowder be if everything was fixed? I don't think he wants things fixed. His show would go out underwater if things were actually fixed. You know?
Yeah, probably true of a lot of YouTubers. You know, if Disney, we really want things to be fixed because we want to talk about things that are good. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
So that's why I'm loving. That's why I'm loving, like what I'm trying to do, because when things change, that's when we're just getting started. that's
Yeah.
that's
Well,
that's when that's the fight, and then the real fun happens.
I will say that a lot of the YouTubers that are, that are frequently essentially monetizing crap programs and movies, and more power to them if they can do it.
Yeah.
But at least one of them that I know of spent quite a bit of time talking about the Reacher program on Amazon, which I watched both seasons, 1 and 2. I loved both, although I think I like the first one better. The second one was more action oriented. The first one was more of a, you know, who done it, um, more Sherlock Holmes style, figuring out the clues and figuring out and predicting what would be true before they actually observed it. Um, Either way, when a good series came on, yeah, they did talk about it. And I mean, as you probably know, I'm a regular on a Tuesday night show where we talk about older movies because they're good movies. And we don't talk about new movies. Um, we might talk about one if one came out, we were like, oh, that's awesome. Let's talk about that. But mostly we talk about older stuff. And I'll just remind everybody of Sturgeon's Law. This is from one of the science fiction writers I've read, Theodore Sturgeon. Sturgeon's Law says that 90% of everything is crap. And of course, these days it's more than that because you have ideology dictating who gets hired and therefore who writes it and produces it. But even under normal circumstances, Sturgeon's Law applies, and 90% of everything that's produced is crap, and you have to wait and find out what's the 10% that of the wheat that, and the chaff gets left behind, which is why, for example, everybody remembers Mozart, but they don't remember Salieri. If you've seen the movie about them.
Amadeus.
Amadeus, yes. Salieri's pretty much forgotten. I mean, he was popular in his day, and jealous as hell of Mozart, but Mozart's the music that we still hear now. Salieri's music is forgotten in history because it was part of the 90% that got discarded. So, if you're going to talk about entertainment on YouTube, even on the best of times, you've got a 90% chance of talking about something that's dreck or just not that good. And 10% of the stuff that comes out, you'll be talking about how much you liked it. And I think that's actually normal. Nowadays, maybe it's worse, but if you're going to stay in the current entertainment sphere, and there are people who built channels around that, so they have to, they've built an audience around that. They have to talk about current entertainment, and if current entertainment all sucks, then you're going to be finding a way to make fun of it, to make people laugh about it, to warn them away from watching it, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to resent them for that or say, wow, they shouldn't be doing that. You choose your area that you want to talk about, and if the news and the material that you have to talk about suddenly takes a downturn, well, then you're stuck with it. I'd be more sympathetic to them, than critical of them. It must suck to be you. You have to talk about current Marvel movies. Ouch.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just think, to give it, Star Trek Picard season 3, it was an improvement, but I didn't think it was really ventured into the territory of great. I would say that there were some good parts of it, but I didn't understand some of the praise that it was getting. I thought it was really average at best.
Wasn't even average.
Well, I said at best.
I wouldn't even give it that much. Yeah, at best. Yeah, like at best, blind with my hands tied behind my back. Yeah.
So yeah, I was a bit
season 3.
yeah, I was a bit surprised at the take of some of them on Picard season 3.
Thank God we had the cameos and the old staff, because could you imagine Picard season 3 without any of that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so here are some criticisms of Picard season 3. Okay, I don't see two people in Picard's supposed to be in like his 90s, almost 100, and I think Beverly is supposed to be close to that age. I don't see people in their 70s having a love child. And if they do, you kind of need to explain that a little better.
Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's awfully unlikely.
And if they're going for the Borg angle, I mean, maybe they could have, if we're talking about Borg, nanites, maybe that could have been possible for conceiving. That would have been a good narrative explanation for how that child was conceived, and maybe a better reason for her to keep it a secret. I also don't see her keeping it a secret. That's although there were some moments that I did enjoy. The episode where the ship was like sinking in that nebula, I thought that was pretty well done. That part. Although I thought Amanda Plummer was a bit over the top.
Wee bit.
Yeah, I don't see changelings smoking. That seemed a bit weird.
There's so much wrong with season 3. Where to start? Klingons playing dead, ships falling in space, security scan that follows up with identify yourself, changelings, buckets. What else? I mean, Vulcan Ferengi Bloodos. Oh, that was painful.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the concept of Vulcan gangsters was interesting, although I don't know how well it played for me in this series.
A Vulcan gangster that's best friends with a Ferengi. Like, what? I don't even know what that's like. I don't know. I just don't. That whole season, except for the damn cameos and the damn lemon berries. The D flying like the Star
Millennium Falcon?
Wars ship. Yeah, the Millennium Falcon through the Borg ship. Oh, God, that was painful.
Yeah, that was rather painful.
And then they're in a Borg cube, and they see so the D is in outer space where there's no oxygen, yet they flew into a Borg ship where people could see the D flying past them. Wait a second, how are you breathing? You didn't pass through no force field. Like you were literally in space.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to. Bringing the D back was I thought a good move, but what's that
The
saying?
wasted use
I
of
think-
Moriarty.
Oh yeah, and then Moriarty. Yeah,
That
they
wasn't
really
even
teased
Moriarty.
That
They
that
teased
was
it so hard.
big fat nowhere.
It just goes to show you, if you troll, the WandaVision proved this. If you troll your audience, that's the best way to get clicks and views. Troll your freaking audience. Moriarty, I was actually looking forward to that. Thought that was going to be an interesting plot development, but ended up being absolute garbage.
Well, they did the same thing with Hugh in Star Trek Picard season 1.
Mm-hmm.
They just
Yeah.
he's there and then he gets killed.
No.
Oh, okay. So let's see, conspiracies. What? Yeah, hey, if people want to make that content and people want to watch it, that's it's fine. Totally cool with it. I just had a different take on Star Trek Picard season 3 than a lot of people did.
Now, I would have liked to have seen a Killer Tribble episode instead of him instead of just one inside of a, one of those glass bubbles for, catalog or whatever. Get yourself on a starship that's been over ramped with killer tribbles. That would have been a nice horror episode. No, of course not. Instead, we get like 5 episodes of a space battle. Like a ship-to-ship space battle should only last an episode, maybe 2 at the most. And not only that, but the spaceship battle, I mean, she had the Enterprise dead to rights, like within the first 5 minutes. Dead to rights. And somehow they survived.
Wait, the Titan or the Enterprise?
What was it? The Titan? I'm sorry, the Titan versus the Changeling ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had them dead to rights. There's no way they should have got out of that alive. No way. They had superior firepower. They had that magical portal Rick and Morty gun.
Well, see, okay, so that's another issue that I had was that they made the Neo Constitution class, they called it. I don't, and it looked a lot like the ship from Star Trek Into Darkness, the evil ship, I wasn't vibing with that. I don't know why they did that. Whatever.
Whatever.
Okay. So I had a conspiracy that I did a short on, and I would like your guys' take on it. My conspiracy is this. It's a fun conspiracy. That the Tide Pod Challenge was actually AstroTurf by Procter & Gamble because they wanted to save money on dye, and they didn't want the customer to feel like they were getting ripped off. So the whole thing was a plot to save money. And it was a brilliant marketing move. I mean, I know it's not. Yeah, I know it's not the JFK assassination, but
I'm not sure what was it that they wanted to do by running this thing.
I just wanted to save money on dye. Instead of 3 colors, we use 2 colors.
Oh, so yeah. That thing made no sense at all. I mean, other than an exercise in Darwinian evolution, if it weren't a conspiracy.
It may have been a conspiracy. That's my theory. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time something weird like that
There's
happened.
been some weird ones that I've run into. I read a woman that probably is probably in some sense one of us who pays attention to all the incredible details, and she was convinced that Fruit of the Loom had at one point had a cornucopia as part of its logo. So basically a horn of plenty with vegetables and fruit spilling out of it. And she went to the website and they said, no, we've never had a cornucopia on our logo. And they actually put on their webpage what they claimed were all of their logos in the company's history. And this woman went through all of her oldest clothes, and she found a Fruit of the Loom t-shirt with a tag on it that had a cornucopia and photographed it and posted it and put it on social media. And up until that moment, it had been considered a Mandela effect thing, that people were mistakenly believing that Fruit of the Loom had a cornucopia in its logo at some point. And we're talking 40, 50 years ago, probably. And she actually found an ancient T-shirt that she, stored in her attic or something, and pulled up pulled the shirt out and photographed the tag. Sure enough, there was a cornucopia on it. So that was a corporate conspiracy for whatever reason to claim they'd never done it. And on one movie show I was on, we were talking about the Bond film Moonraker and how the blonde woman who falls in love with Jaws and vice versa had braces. And everybody remembered that in the movie she had braces. Everybody who saw it in the theater. And I researched it online, and one guy actually said, no, I saw a 35 millimeter print of the film. She didn't have braces. And she certainly doesn't if you watch the movie today. But it made sense at the time that Jaws with his metal teeth and she with her metal braces would have seen each other as a kindred spirit. And it seems like the producers were attacked for having given her braces because, I don't know, somebody said, you're making people with braces sound, you're comparing them to people with artificial teeth. And that's not the case. That's wrong. Early example of SJW being offended on somebody else's behavior. And the rest of us, I put it out there and I said, I'm pretty sure this is true. And somebody went and looked up, we found a picture, and they brought the picture in, and we showed it in the discussion chat that we have for the show. I said, sure enough, there is a picture of her from the movie with braces. That was a decision by the movie studio and the producers to edit out the braces and then claim that everybody who remembered them was making it up. So I'm wondering, and this is what I posted to the group to consider, was how many cases of the Mandela effect are actually psyops?
That's a good one.
I mean, the thing that everybody remembers that they're told, no, that never happened. How many of those are people remembering something because they heard it from somebody else and somebody else told them and then they told somebody else and everybody thinks this is true and it was never true? That's the Mandela effect if it's, in real life. But how many of them are actually a company that says, we want to pretend this never happened for whatever reason, so we're just going to memory hole it and then label anybody who says this happened as, imagining it. It's kind of weird. It reminds me it reminds me of the kind of stuff they used to pull in the television show The Prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Where they were trying to break him down and get information out of him. And they were, they were trying to manipulate what his reality was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, you know what? There's this new soda that I keep seeing all over the place, Starry. I was like, has Starry always been around and I just didn't know it? But apparently that used to be Sierra Mist. Now you know.
Oh. Actually, RR, you're not a number, you're a pair of initials.
That is true, yes. Well, a double pair of initials there, actually. So the 007 double R. Yeah. Berenstain Bears. I don't remember it ever being Berenstain Bears. I thought it was Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, Papa Cotton said, "People think Luke, I am your father," is a Mandela effect. Effing retards. You can't unless you can find, and I think you can only find the only way you can find the original three Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, is the Laserdisc version or on VHS, because everything produced after that was George's re-edit, and you're not looking at the original movies. And
Yeah.
there are tons of people today who've never seen the original Star Wars trilogy because it hasn't existed since the, I don't know what, early to mid 1980s.
I actually picked up the VHS versions of those, and I've got them on my shelf. Actually, I've never even played them. I haven't had a VHS VCR in like like 20 years now. But I just have them. They were on sale at the I was doing some thrifting or something, and I found them for dirt cheap. I think like $1.99 a piece. Score.
Mm-hmm. Well, the TH there's a special edition of them on DVD where, believe it or not, in order to combat piracy, because people were ripping the Laserdisc movies or ripping off the Laserdisc and selling the movies as bootlegs, they decided to put the original, unedited original movies, the theatrical releases, as an extra on the second disc. And I spent quite a bit of money to buy all three of them. So I have the Laserdisc. It's obviously not the same quality as a modern Blu-ray or even a DVD, but they're still worth having because they're the original edits and they don't have all of the crap that George put in. And anybody who watches them will never say Han shot first, because Han shot, period.
Yeah,
And
it was.
Greedo died.
It was an essential part of the plot. It showed him what a what a badass he was, and can you trust this guy? What's going on with Han Solo?
Exactly. And I mean, I've had the conversation a couple of times, that it just to have Han shoot in self-defense because Greedo shoots at him first destroys the whole arc of his character. You're supposed to believe that he'll do anything to save his own skin right up to the beginning of the battle at the Death Star. And so for him to come back and save Luke is a massive change for him. Whereas if he's a, sort of a normal citizen, if you will, at the beginning, who just cuts a few corners and bends a few rules, it's not the same character arc for Han Solo. So it kind of screws his character up if you're paying attention and you're actually, you understand. No, he was a murderous smuggler at the, in the original movies. He's not in the re-edit. Yeah. And, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to get the originals, because I think they were better. They were a better set of movies than what George decided to do to, quote, improve, unquote, the original trilogy.
They should be called the American Graffiti edits, because that's what he did. He graffitied all over them.
Yeah, he did. And the problem is that as far as I know, he destroyed the original masters by doing it. He edited those or threw them away. He wanted no one ever to be able to get the, reprint the original theatrical releases again, which is why you can only get it off of the. Oh, well, there's a way that isn't entirely legal. I won't describe it because I won't do it. And I don't understand the technology of it anyway, because I'm a boomer. But yeah, the one that you can get legally is the one they ripped off of the laser discs.
Yeah. Papa Cotton says the only reason they did that was because of Harrison's head tilt, and they thought it would be cool. Tell me I'm wrong. It's funny you bring that up, because since we were talking about Star Trek too, a topic that I know you love, Papa. You know, they described this thing called the Cardassian neck trick, and we've never seen it. Well, I imagine the Cardassian neck trick looking like what happened when Greedo shot first. Because that was a very unnatural motion that he made after they did that edit.
Yep.
I'm kind of pissed we never got to see the Cardassian neck trick because that was actually kind of enticing.
Yeah, it was.
I always
you know?
imagined it was like him turning into a Cardassian and like turning his head 360 like Beetlejuice or something.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Or, you know, maybe bending his head like a 180 backwards or something.
Oven.
Something weird, yeah. But
Something.
yeah, but the Harrison Ford Han Solo unnatural weird neck bend there. I mean, that could be passable as a Cardassian neck trick.
You know, question: if the original creator destroys a film, is it really piracy after that moment? It's no longer can be sold. It's gone. He destroyed it. You can't sell
That
it.
would take, yeah, that would probably take about 2 years in court to establish the whether the original creator still owned the copyright to something that he eliminated and replaced. That'd be an interesting question. Whether
It
he still
is.
had copyright on the original copies.
Well, I know it's interesting that you actually bring that up, LDG, because I know with video games when you know, the NES carts had long since been produced, and you're into like the GameCube era, and people started ripping ROMs and doing emulation. I believe that was okay because it had been out of print so long, and that none
And
were
obsolete.
available. Yeah.
You couldn't even get it, not unless you bought somebody's old device or something.
Mm-hmm. And I think the workaround for that was they started putting the old games on the Wii store, and that was their workaround to start going after that. But I don't know.
At least they brought it back.
Yeah. Occasionally, I'll fire one of those up that I've had for a long time. I actually kind of prefer, I just like the more modern controllers than the NES controller. Honestly, square edges, that kind of hurts after a while. Yeah, it makes it easier to stream when you're doing an emulation. Can't really save state either on the original. Unless you have like a Game Genie, I think. Remember the Game Genie?
Game Shark.
Game Shark,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that was Super Nintendo era. Yep. I used to think that was cheating. I never used a Game Genie or a Game Shark.
I used it once on one game. I could not beat to save my life. 3D World Runner.
I remember that game.
Because I think the last level was like 99 or some crazy high number, and I just couldn't get to it. So I was like, "Screw this, Game Genie, Blockbuster, beat this shit overnight." And I got to the last level, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
That's a good one.
That
What's
was
the
a fun-
hardest game you guys have ever played? Do you do gaming just another red shirt?
I played Mario Kart on the Wii, and before that, I was playing arcade games in college. So everything in between the mid '80s to the Wii that I played on, no. And the modern style of video games for the most part, I don't even understand. I think I tried to do one online game, and I lasted like 10 seconds on 4 attempts and said, "Screw this." Knocked off, the moment I stuck my head around a tree. Bonk, you're done. Like, this isn't fun. So no, I don't. I'm probably as bad or worse than Gary is. If you put me into a game where the first thing I have to do is get out of a room, I'd probably spend the next month trying to figure out how to get out of the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I liked a few of them. Rygar, R-Type.
R-Type is good.
R-Type is good. I think the hardest Nintendo game was 3D World Runner for me, but I'm trying to think. Memories. Sure, there were a few of them out there. I just can't think of it at the moment. And then you had the games that were just so bad you didn't want to beat them, like Superman for, what was it? Superman for GameCube or no?
I think it was PlayStation.
No, it was the
PlayStation 1.
Nintendo version.
Oh, and 64?
It might have been 64. Superman 64. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, we were still trying to program up, down, left, and right.
Yeah, that was an interesting era for gaming, for sure. I still remember when I fired up the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin had gotten a new PlayStation, and I was used to like Mario Brothers and that kind of stuff. And I'd climbed up to a very high ledge, and I got the item, and I jumped off, thinking it was like Mario Brothers or something. And she starts screaming, ah, ah. And then all of a sudden, crunch. And I was like, what happened? And he said, you died. I was like, that is awesome. There's like consequences to that stuff. She legit bounced when she hit the ground, too. Yeah. And then her getting eaten by dinosaurs, that was kind of fun, too.
Oh, yeah.
Just grab her and rah, shake her like a dog shakes a toy. It was a fun game. Those graphics are, well, I mean, they were quite a leap at the time.
Or at the time, they looked real to us.
Yeah.
Now you look at them and like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah. All right. So Red Shirt's got to go here. Let's go ahead and, tell the folks where they can find you, my friend.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, J_A_redshirt. And next Tuesday, I expect to be back on 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser's channel, talking about a movie that I haven't found out what it is yet, but I'm sure he's chosen it. And that'll be on Toxic Tuesday, where we talk about great movies that today would make the SJWs scream at the sky. And they're a lot of fun. They're crazy streams, and they're usually good movies. And we have a fun time. So check it out. And I'll see everybody around in the chats.
Thanks for hanging, my friend. Check him out. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, Toxic Tuesdays. Great show. Been on it on the heavy metal stream, I believe. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for the invite, Wes, and you and LDG both have a great evening. Everybody in the chat, you guys are great. How you guys have been doing, making some great comments. So we'll see you around.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks.
Later, Red Shirt.
I can't believe that I started streaming on the wrong channel. I feel like such a dumbass.
Dude, I was like going crazy. I'm like, I couldn't find you. Weren't coming up. I had to click the damn YouTube homepage like 5 times and scroll, and finally you popped up.
I have no idea how I boomered it like that. Yeah.
I thought you finished already because I was like half an hour late, and I'm like, oh crap, did he already finish streaming? No.
Nope. Yeah. Video games. Let's see. Boy, somewhere along the line, they just like started utilizing way too many buttons. Sometimes there's, if you haven't played a game for a while and you pick it up again, it takes there's like a learning curve to figure out the control scheme again.
Yeah, right around GameCube, I started getting pissed off at the buttons.
Yeah, the GameCube
N64,
triggers.
and it was getting pretty bad at N64, but when GameCube came out, I'm just like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the buttons are not even the same shape now. You got like, side buttons and oval buttons and circle buttons, and
Well, I appreciated, the big A button and the little B button, and then those other, jelly bean buttons. I appreciated that because, it was more, you could get it more by feel. But like the way they did the triggers,
Yeah, triggers. Were
those
horrible.
triggers always, instead of it being like a trigger, you push it straight down, and that spring was way too springy and
Yep.
really
Oh,
wore on
yeah.
your fingers after a
They,
while.
they're trying to do some kind of force feedback crap with it, and then I think those were those the first controllers that vibrated. I think you can get an N64, but you had to have an adapter for the
Yeah, you had to plug.
vibration.
It was the Rumble Pack. It was called.
The Rumble Pack, and then the GameCube was built in.
Yep. Yeah. So Sony ripped them. With the DualShock, ripped them off. Apparently, there's a lawsuit about that. Nintendo was like, "Hey, man, we came up with that."
The what? I'm tired of people thinking they can own an idea like that, something simple. You can't have a seatbelt. We had a seatbelt first. Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah. There's a fascinating movie about intermittent windshield wipers. The guy worked for Ford, and they ripped his idea off or whatever. It took that guy like 30 years, but he finally got paid on it. I mean, that was a pretty good idea. But yeah, Rumble Pack, that's, I don't know. Papa Cotton says, I can't drive with the triggers. I hate that. Yeah. I like the way that it does. Here's what I would like. I haven't found a game like this yet, but where you can drive a manual transmission. I like driving with the triggers because it replicates the accelerator for me. If you could have the left trigger be like a clutch pedal, that would be awesome.
That might have been cool.
Not many people know how to drive a stick shift. I'm surprised how few people know how to drive a stick shift.
Or why didn't they just make a switch so you can like switch it so if you switch it to the left, the triggers have like the springy to them, and if you switch it to the right, they're like instant press. That way you can at least have your choice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And they tried doing that whole CD-ROM thing, and that was a turn off for me.
What, with the PlayStation? The original?
GameCube.
Well, the GameCube seemed to load a lot faster than the PlayStation 1 did. The PlayStation 1, like if you're playing Mortal Kombat, the Ultimate Edition, and was it like Shang Tsung? He's the one that switches characters?
Yep.
Yeah, anytime you would go to switch a character mid-fight, you'd get like the load screen or whatever. It would load, and then he would change. Very
That's funny.
annoying. Yeah. Hello, the lovely Sherry. Welcome, my friend. Papa Cotton
Yeah, I kind of
says-
stayed away from Sega and PlayStation. I was mainly Nintendo up until basically PlayStation 4. And then I made the switch to PlayStation.
Yeah, the PS4 is the last console that I bought. After I got my gaming laptop, I was like, this is freaking awesome. The ray tracing and all that crap. Which, I know.
Yeah, some pretty good games.
Yeah, the
For
GameCube.
Honor and Dragon Ball games and a few others.
Well, the Metroid Prime games were it for me. I love the Metroid Prime games. I mean, they still look good today. Even without all the remastering.
I was Nintendo until the GameCube. and then I went right to PC. Though I gotta say, I was PC before then, but like I went hardcore PC after GameCube. They were just better games.
Oh yeah, way better.
Half-Life. Oh God, love Half-Life. That was fun. StarCraft, Warcraft.
I played many hours of StarCraft. I've still got StarCraft somewhere around here. I liked Civilization.
They remastered it.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I liked Civilization 3. I bought the new one, and I don't like that one as much.
Did they come out with 7 yet?
I don't know. The one I got was 6. It was on sale.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, I got 6. 6 was okay. I was enjoying 6. Total War? You ever play the Total War games?
Mm-mm.
Oh God, Total War kicked ass. But you had to have a really good computer. Crash your computer. So
Yeah,
you
I
could
tried
have
to
like
play.
thousands of armies fighting against thousands of armies. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was trying to play Cyberpunk, and supposedly with all the updates, they were supposed to fix all the issues they had, but my computer was just running like shit with that.
I can't wait next week. I've been waiting. I got my hands on a 4090 liquid cooled in November. But I couldn't put it into my computer because it doesn't fit. So I ended up having to buy a new computer case, and I got that sitting behind me. That's that red box you see sitting behind me. But then I bought the case, and it didn't come with fans. So after waiting a month and a half for the case to come in, I had to buy the fans, and I'm still waiting on the fans. I ordered them January 15th, and I'm still waiting on the damn fans to come so I can transplant my computer into the new case and install this 4090. I'm still running a 2080 Ti right now.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, I cannot wait. Even bought a new cooler, CPU cooler fan case. Assassin something or other. It's supposed to be really good. Hopefully next week that comes in and I get to upgrade.
That'd be cool. You're definitely gonna have to do some gaming streams when that happens. Hey, Philip Gaming.
Yeah, I might get back on. Hey, Philip. I might get back on Rocket League. I had fun with Rocket League. Had to buy a new controller, though.
See, that's something I would do. I would buy a PS5 controller. I use my PS4 controller on my laptop. I just like the PS4 controller.
Yeah, right. So right there is my case I'm dying to use, and my cooler, and then the 4090s right behind it. Dying to use it. It's on its side. It's gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it that way or I'm gonna stand it up. But it's got a 4K. It's got a 4K screen right here, touch screen. Pretty cool. Can't wait to have fun with that.
Yeah, man.
Soon. But these new headphones I got, these things are kicking ass. Audi's 70-hour battery life. 70. I don't have to charge these suckers for days. And they have excellent range. I go all the way to the front of my house, all the way up to the road. Can still hear, can still talk. Got a pretty good mic. And the cool thing about it is they're not speakers. They're not coil speakers. They're some kind of weird planar magnetic something. But they're not your normal speakers. Like, you know what I mean? Like the coil magnetic speakers or something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty good.
Interesting.
Comfy too. Very comfy. Better comfier than those Corsairs I had. Oh God, those things were a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a lot on my to-do list when I finally get two nickels to rub together. I definitely would like to upgrade my equipment here. Like a legit desk would be a nice thing to have.
Yes, that was quite helpful.
Yeah, I'm using a table right now. I had a desk, but I ended up selling it. I had one of those corner desks, and it's space-wise, it's a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
So I'm using a pub table, which, I like the pub table. Pub table's cool. Let's see. I'll have to get more gaming suggestions on what to play next.
Remember when you used to be playing Doom and Nintendo games? You ever finish Doom?
Yeah, I finished both of them. Yeah, it was pretty good. I did prefer probably 2016 to Doom Eternal a little bit. I feel like Doom 2016 was a little bit more consistent. Although the things that people said they hated about Doom Eternal, example, the platforming, were actually the things that I liked about Doom Eternal.
Well,
And they kind of leaned into, I think, the retro a little bit more on Doom Eternal than on Doom 2016. But I like the story better in Doom 2016. It definitely seemed a bit tighter to me. But I mean, they're both excellent games. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. There are parts where I felt Doom Eternal was getting a little bit repetitive.
the only thing I hated about Doom was the movie with The Rock. Oh God.
Yeah, haven't seen it.
Thank God.
Good Lord. Alrighty, I think I'm running out of gas here. Probably my bedtime. It's starting to get cold
Yep,
here. We're supposed to have
almost
more
1 o'clock.
rain. Huh?
No, I have no problem with the cold. Loving the cold. It's actually been pretty chilly here in Florida. Somewhat chilly, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, we're supposed to get rain. More rain. Swear to God, man, I need to build an ark.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a quick video and show the rivers. They're pretty high right now. Yeah, I guess
All right.
I guess I'll rip this video and then re-upload it to the main channel because it was. Maybe I'll just copy the link and throw it in a playlist. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I boomered that. So weird.
And no worries. People still found you.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate it. So tell the folks, in case they're catching the replay, where they can find you.
What's up, guys? LDG, Free the Net. Check me out on YouTube, and you can come hang out with me in person, offline at freethenet.org/underground. And come check us out. Hopefully coming out with another video soon, and big things happening with freethenet.org. Hoping to make some waves and blow the roof off this thing we call the internet. Thanks for having me, Wes. I do appreciate it, bud. Always enjoy watching you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. All right.
Yeah.
And thank you, the best chat on YouTube, for hanging out with us today and for finding us. That's nice, too. with that, I guess I'll go ahead and we'll wrap. Oh God, no, not that.
What?
Something happened.
Come on, man.
It's not good. Wait, maybe it's this one.
It's a fake.
It's this one.
Hello.